in the last class we have derived the momentum distribution of the electron emitted from a beta unstable nuclei, and in that if we put the neutrino rest mass is 0, then the expression of the momentum distribution of the electron comes this. Now this theoretical value of the momentum distribution can be compared with the experimental value. To test the theory of the beta decay, this is called the Fermi's theory of beta decay for allowed transition. So to test the theory of the beta decay and to gain information about whether the transition is allowed or forbidden. Now, whether if the higher angular momentum transition is taking place in the higher angular momentum states, then the transitions are called forbidden transition, that is higher energies are involved in it. And if the transition is taking place when the leptons are leaving the nucleus in the zero orbital angular momentum state, then it is called the allowed transition. Now therefore this theoretical value of the momentum distribution spectrum theoretical value of momentum spectrum can be compared with the experiment to test the theory of say beta decay and secondly to gain information whether the transition is allowed or forbidden. And thirdly, to find the value of the matrix element, to find the value of this MIF of the matrix element. Now there is this experimental momentum distribution curve that is called the Curie plot, in which this, if we rewrite this momentum distribution equation, this one, suppose we write this one, forget about dp both side is there. Now if we write it in this form, that P of P divided by this quantity is taken in this side, P square E0 minus EE whole square, that is equal to, this is a constant quantity, G square MIF more square 2 pi cube C cube F Z, sorry, this term F Z E, here in this side is E0 minus E whole square. That is a straight line equation. If you plot this function, that is p of p by p square f z e to the power half. This is equal to this factor g square mif mod square 2 pi cube c cube h cross to the power 7 equal to the power half e minus e. Now if we plot this function against the electron energy, then you see this straight line y equal to say mx type, but here the slope, a negative sign is there, so slope will be negative. Now therefore the Curie plot, if we electron energy is plotted in keV, and in this side we get by p square f to the power half. Then we get this type of curve which cuts here at E0, the end point energy. When E is equal to E0, then that is the end point energy. Now for say hydrogen 3, if we plot the momentum distribution of the beta particle emitted from the hydrogen 3, then it is found that the E0 is set here at 18 keV, and which sets a higher value of the neutrino mass. It is of the order of 250 kilo electron volt. Now for hydrogen 3 with say E0 is equal to 18 keV, it is possible to set an upper limit of 250 keV electron 250 electron volt for the neutrino rest mass. That is the maximum rest mass of the neutrino will fit this one 250 electron volt, very small. Now therefore the straightness of this Curie plot proves that the Fermi's theory of beta decay is correct, because this formula comes from the Fermi's theory of beta decay, and which fits the experimental curve straightness. So this straightness of the Curie plot proves that the Fermi's theory of beta decay is correct. Now the straightness of the Curie plot proves that means the theory and the experiment are consistent with each other. Fermi's theory is correct. For allowed transition, because the theory which is developed here, that is for the allowed transition, because we have considered initially that the leptons are leaving the nucleus at the zero angular momentum state, is correct for allowed transitions. Now here we consider in deriving this equation, momentum distribution, we consider that the electron and neutrino wave functions considered as a plane wave, and a small correction in the very small energy range, a small correction is required for the Coulomb distortion which arises from the other nuclear charges and the atomic electrons. Now the momentum distribution equation, the probability of transition within the energy momentum interval p to p plus dp. We have considered this much small momentum interval and found the momentum distribution. Now the total, therefore the disintegration constant can be found out by integrating that the momentum distribution equation. So to find the total disintegration constant, because the electron momentum may vary from 0 to maximum value of the momentum, because its energy is continuously distributed from 0 to maximum energy E0, endpoint energy. So momentum will also vary from 0 to a maximum value which corresponds to the endpoint energy E0. Therefore, to find the distribution constant, now we have to integrate this. The above equation may be integrated from 0 to the maximum value of the moment, 0 to P max. Now therefore, the lambda, the disintegration constant, that will be equal to 0 to P max we have to integrate this expression. Now substitute this value of Ep here. What is lambda disintegration constant? This is log 2 by T half life of the beta emitter. Now it is related in this form that m0 to the power 5 g square c to the power 4 mif mod square 2 pi cube h cross to the power 7 0 to P max f Coulomb factor f z e in. Here it is written as p square by m square c square E0 minus E whole square by M0 square c to the power 4 M0 c. Now in the equation here, this M0 to the power 5 was not the only g square mif square 2 pi cube c cube h cross to the power 7. Now here is M0 to the power 5 2 m0 to the power 5. Now here 2 plus 4 6 plus 1 7 and here 4. The 3 will be here. Here it is written as that P square and MGO square is a dimensionless. P is equal to MC. So P square by M square C square dimensionless is the energy square by in the numerator, denominator you get M0 square C to the power 4 energy square, momentum. So this total integration is a dimensionless quantity which we give a name, suppose say small f z E0, that is this integration 0 to P max is f z E square by M0 square C square E0 minus E whole square by M0 square C to the power 4 is the dimensionless quantity. Now therefore we get log 2 by T half life, that is equal to this into f d g square MIF mod square M0 to the power 5 C to the power 4 divided by 2 pi cube h cross to the power 7 f. So the comparative half-life f into T half, this is called the FT value or a comparative half-life. It is f ZD0 into this T half. This is called the FT value of the Fermi transition or the beta transition. This is log FT into this is equal to, you get log 2 pi cube h cross to the power 7 log 2 divided by this. So here this FT value, this is called the comparative half-life. Of the beta transition. Now, if the value FT values or sometimes called FT value, if the FT value is small, for allowed transition the FT values are small, and for the forbidden transition the FT values will be large. So, if actually this matrix element generally it is calculated numerically, or this integration f it is calculated numerically. Now, if we can calculate this numerically, then and find the FT value, then from that one can calculate this MIF, matrix element. If the structure of the parent and the daughter nuclei is known, then one can calculate it, or by knowing this value, FT value, one can calculate this one. Now, for transition between two similar structures, for transitions between you states of similar structures like say oxygen 14, positron is emitted, then nitrogen 14. This mod MIF square has the value approximately 2, and then the G can be found out. That is what kind of perturbation is involved, because G we have considered that the perturbation is very small, which is a constant quantity. So in this type of transition where MIF is equal to 2, one can find say G, the interaction operator which is involved here. Now in the case of say now there are certain selection rules whether the transition is allowed or forbidden. Selection rules. Because in case of atomic transition, we know that when say higher in an orbital state to lower orbital state, the transitions are taking place in atomic physics, then we know that the selection rule is delta L is equal to plus minus 1. Okay. Delta L equal to 0, delta L equal to more than plus minus 1, they are all forbidden transition. Similarly, here also some selection rules. One is called Fermi selection rule, another is called Gamow-Taylor. In allowed beta decay, means the leptons are leaving the nucleus with zero angular momentum state. That means there is no change in the angular momentum. Okay. So for allowed beta decay, the electron and the antineutrino both leave the nucleus with zero angular momentum. Because it is assumed zero angular momentum. If they reach the zero angular momentum, then there will be no change in the angular momentum. Thus the total angular momentum remains unchanged if the spin vectors of both the lepton, that is electron and antineutrino, beta minus and neutrino, are antiparallel. It is singlet state. Total angular momentum is J. Okay, angular momentum, there is no change. It is emitted with zero angular momentum and also emitted with the zero spin. total spin singlet state, so there will be no change in the total angular momentum, total J. Okay. And if the spins of the beta particle and the neutrinos are parallel, then there may be a change in the total angular momentum, either may or may not. Because if they are parallel, then there are 4 substates you get. If they are parallel spin, then total will be equal to 1/2 plus half. Then its projection will be either plus minus 1 or 0. So in another transition, when the beta particle and the neutrino are in the triplet state, that is they are parallel spin, then the total angular momentum may change by 1 unit or may not change. So where these spins are antiparallel to each other, there is no change in the angular momentum. That is called the Fermi type of transition. And another where they are parallel in the triplet state, either change or no change or by change by plus minus, that is called the Gamow-Taylor transition. Now therefore, it may change may or may not change by 1 unit if they are parallel. The spins are parallel, triplet state. Therefore, the selection rules are for allowed transition, because we are considering here only the allowed transitions. So the selection rules for allowed transitions are delta J is equal to 0 and delta P, the parity, that is also 0, no change in parity. Then this is called the Fermi transition. Fermi transition. So they are when the 2 leptons are emitted in the singlet state, and when the 2 leptons are emitted in the triplet state, then delta J will be equal to 0 or plus minus 1, and delta J is equal to 0 or say plus minus 1, but here no Ji is equal to 0 to Jf is equal to 0 is allowed. 0 to 0 transition, that will be 0, then it is not allowed here. Now this is called the Gamow-Taylor. Gamow-Taylor transition, and here also the parity, no change in parity. So for Fermi transition, we have to see from what is the initial state of the parent nuclei, what is the spin according from the cell model structure, and what is the spin of the daughter nuclei. From that you can say whether it is the Fermi transition or whether it is Gamow-Taylor for the allowed transitions. And if there is a large change in the spin value, 2, 3, etc., then they are not forbidden transition. Okay. Now, now in the Fermi's theory, no parity change is taking place in both the cases. Now, in Fermi transition, the operator which connects the initial and the final state, it is a scalar quantity. Okay. In Fermi transition, the operator which connects the initial state and the final state, that is your perturbation. Okay. There is a scalar quantity. So there is no change in parity in it. And in case of Gamow-Taylor transition, the operator which connects the initial and the final state is a pseudo vector. We know that the pseudo vector under the space reflection there is no change in the vector. Suppose for example the angular momentum is a pseudo vector, it is r cross p. If we change both the direction of r and p, then it will not change. So all axial vectors are pseudo vectors. So in Gamow-Taylor transition, the operator which connects the initial and the final states, they are pseudo vector. Now in Fermi transition, the operator connecting the initial and the final states is unit operator which is a scalar. Thus, no change in spin and parity is involved. While in Gamow-Taylor transition, the operator, the connecting operator between the initial and the final state of the nucleus is a pseudo vector. Which has not changed under space reflection. Thus there will be no change in the parity, because if x does not go to minus x, then there will be no change in parity. X is under reflection remains x, or y remains y, z remains z. Now if we consider certain transitions, now you may be asked, giving certain reaction, that what kind of transition. Suppose say a neutron is converted into proton, then you get say hydrogen plus beta minus plus antineutrino. Here it goes from half plus state to half plus. Neutron is converting into proton. Now hydrogen 3, it goes to helium 2, because the mass number will not change. Beta particle is emitted, so the Z number will increase by 1 unit. So helium 3, electron is emitted, its initial state is half plus and final state also is half plus. This is final state of this. So here also the half plus to half plus. No change in the spin value, and parity also, there is no change. You see, positive parity, positive parity, positive parity, positive parity. Here so delta J is equal to 0. Say sulfur 1635. When the beta particle is emitted, it is converted into chlorine 17 plus beta plus antineutrino. Here, if we go to the cell model, then one can find what is the final state of this. It is 3/2 plus 2, 3/2 plus. Now, in all the cases, you see there is no change in delta J is equal to 0. And there is no change in parity, delta P is also 0, or positive parity to positive parity, positive to positive. So they are delta J is equal to 0, parity no change. So they are the mixture of Fermi and Gamow-Taylor, both. Because in Gamow-Taylor also delta J is equal to 0. So they are the mixture. Mixture of Fermi and Gamow-Taylor. Now there is another kind of transition, that sulfur 1637 to chlorine 1737. Plus beta particle plus antineutrino. Here in this case, it is observed that 7/2 its state is 7/2 minus. It is in the 7/2 minus state. It goes to here, it is 3/2 plus. Now see here, a large change in the spin is taking place. So it may be forbidden, because more than 0 it is forbidden. But here it is negative to positive. The parity is changing. So it is not possible, it is not allowed transition. So it is all forbidden transition. Either say more spin change will take place, maybe parity remains same, or more spin and parity will also change. So now in Fermi's theory of beta decay, actually we consider that the leptons are wave functions are considered as a free particle wave function. It is represented by plane wave. Because we consider the energies of the leptons are very small, so energy is very small, so wavelength is very large. Okay, compared to the nuclear dimension. So at the center of the nucleus, they are represented by a plane wave. The plane wave expansion e to the power I k dot. If we expand it in terms of Bessel function, then we get here say L equal to 0 to infinity. All angular momentums are here. The most of the amplitude of this plane wave is carried by the L equal to 0 term. So when the leptons are emitted with very small energy, they are represented by plane wave. So for the allowed transition at the center of the nuclei, the lepton wave functions are represented by only this term L equal to 0. Okay. Because the higher angular momentum will carry the very small amplitudes. So if we consider say L equal to 0 term, then that this HIF prime for say L equal to 0, then matrix element, this HIF prime, initial to final state, the matrix element which we have to calculate, they have these small values. Okay. So this HIF prime will be small in that case, if we consider say L equal to 0 case. And for non-zero L, higher angular momentum states, this will be larger. So HIF prime will be larger. That means the large energy is involved in this process, and the FT value will be very large. Okay. So FT value will be large means this transition will be forwarding. If the transition FT value, the comparative half-lives FT, if it is in between 3 to 4, then they are allowed transitions. And if the values will be large, very large, then they are all forwarding. So for the higher angular momentum states, it is not that only the beta particles are emitted in the L equal to 0 angular momentum states. They are also emitted with the higher angular momentum states. But in that case, the FT value, their half-lives will be much larger compared to this 0 orbital angular momentum. So in that case, the FT value will be large, and large FT value means they are all forwarding transition. Now, in beta decay, theory of beta decay, it is observed that the parities are not changing. Now, in beta decay, it is found that when the beta particles are emitted from any say aligned particular nuclei, it is observed that the beta particles are emitted in the opposite direction of the angular momentum more and more. Okay. Now, if we place a mirror, suppose the orbital angular momentum is in this direction, suppose in the clockwise direction, and if we put a mirror, and if the angular momentum is in the clockwise direction, then most of the beta particle will be emitted in the upward direction. And if we put a mirror in front of this, now this clockwise motion will be here anti-clockwise. But the beta particle, its direction is in this, it will show in that direction. Now, there is an experiment you are performing. Now we take a mirror image of this. If you can perform that mirror image experiment also in reality, then parity is conserved. That is the picture and its, this object and its picture, you get in reality. Then the parity is conserved. And the object and its picture in the mirror, if you cannot perform that experiment which is observed in the mirror, then the parity is not conserved. It is observed that generally the beta particles are emitted in the direction, opposite direction of the angular momentum. And if we take its mirror image, it is observed that the electron, it seems that the electrons are emitted in the direction of the angular momentum, which is not actually performed in the reality, which is not the case. Therefore, from that it is concluded that the parity is violated in the beta decay. Okay. In the next class we shall discuss the parity violation in beta decay.